Lights, camera, action. We're live. We are live, I hope, on Facebook. And I think I'll stop at Facebook. Maybe in a few days' time. Facebook went very well yesterday, day before yesterday. And if it goes very well again, maybe I'll try going to YouTube as well. Otherwise, we'll stick in this format. So I hope everybody's groovy. So I now need to find, if I can remember, the link that you can click in order to ask your questions or offer your wisdom. Okay, let's have a little looky here. Right. Hello. Hello, Julie. How are you? I got a message from you saying that you couldn't comment, and now you have. I only found that message this morning, so if that was sent a few days ago, well, there you go. Okay, now there's invite. And if I go down to invite, here's my, okay, copy that to clipboard. Thank you very much. Okay, then, Super Groovers. Super Groovers, if you would like to join in the show with a question or wisdom, then here's the link. I hope you're all impressed with my super one finger typing. Bom dia. That's all I can remember. Bom dia, obrigado. That's all I can remember. When we were in Portugal, there was a we went into a cafe and somebody said, if you want 2 milky coffees, you've got to say Deutsch Geläusch. So all the English people thought that to say 2 milky coffees in Portuguese was Deutsch Geläusch. So everybody used to go in and say Deutsch Geläusch to get 2 milky coffees. Oh, hello. I've got a telephone going on. So we all went in to say Deutsch Geläusch. It's not Deutsch Geläusch at all. So clearly all the staff at the coffee shop thought that the English people, or maybe the English for coffee was Deutsch Geläusch, and Deutsch Geläusch isn't anything. So there you go. That's my amusing bit of memory. Okay, so yes, I was putting in the link. Deutsch Geläusch. If you'd like to join the show with a question or wisdom, then here's the link. And I'm going to put that into chat. Let me know that you can see the link. There we go. There we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Hello, hello, everybody. Stop phoning me. Quite clearly, if I keep turning it off, I don't want you to phone me. Okay. Good morning, Carl. Please do YouTube as well, as my friend will not do Facebook. I will intend to do YouTube as well. However, this will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube, and there'll still be an opportunity to put your comments underneath. But there we are. There we are. You won't be able to join live unless it turns out that the broadcast to YouTube goes well. There we are. Excuse me while I have a sip of coffee. In my Teresa Lewis mug, a little bit of a product placement there. It's a bit in the sun. You can't see that. But there you go. There's Popple Guy. If you want to see Teresa, if you're on, put your contact. The most amazing. She takes photographs of horse riders and does this most amazing, weird iPad-y type digitization and produces these absolutely iconic little photo collage kind of things, which then printed on mugs and such like, and it's a wonderful gift. Okay, enough of me waffling. I've got my coffee. I'm ready to rock. Let's get our first guest in. Lottie Gardner. Let's just add you in there. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can I hear you?
I can hear you.
You've not got your video on. Is that intentional?
My camera doesn't work at the moment.
Okay. How can I help, or what would you like to say?
I have a horse. She's an Appaloosa, and she's a bit crazy at the moment.
You want to give it a bit more context?
Yeah. we've currently been riding in a field which has its own little arena space, which is it's just boards on the floor kind of
Yeah.
thing. And she has been really kind of explosive and nappy, and she's been rearing up, and she's been vertical a couple of times. And I'm not exactly nervous to get on her for my sake. I'm nervous for her because she's 16 now, and if she falls over, she could quite easily hurt herself.
What's she napping to? Can she see horses there?
Yeah, there's a next door field which has all of the geldings in, and
Mm-hmm.
she's always enjoyed being in the field, and she's very hungry all the time, and she always eats, and she's had laminitis twice in the past year.
So is she always like nose in the air and calling and looking over to them, and that
No,
then escalates into a rear? What
well,
is your
2 weeks
signals that this is
ago,
happening?
2 weeks ago she was amazing, and she's become a bit of a dressage diva recently,
Mm.
and she's like held herself in an amazing outline, and we've built up her top line. But just this week and the past week, she has just she's been throwing her neck up and down, and then I obviously discipline her. I give her a good kick, and I keep her back legs moving.
Mm.
And she she trots on the spot, and then she goes up into a rear.
And is this a change in behaviour, or has she always done this?
I've had her for the past 5 years, and she has never reared with me before. She's barely ever bucked.
Okay, so in my immediate thought is that if she's well behaved and she's suddenly rearing, it's the old mantra: have you checked her teeth? Have you checked her back? Have you checked her tack?
Yeah, well, I think it's a year ago she got a brand new saddle, and she got it fitted, and I've checked the tree, and that's all fine. And I'm getting the dentist out today, but
Mm.
I've been lunging her in her bridle recently, and she's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday we put her on a mild sedative, and I got on her again, and she was good, but she would not give me the proper contact, and she would not come down into an outline, and she stretched her neck out as far as she could.
If she's changed behaviour, something's wrong from the sound. Look, firstly, don't listen to a bloke over the internet. uh, Definitely, because you need somebody there on the ground watching the behaviour. Um, on a People write to me and they're like, "What's wrong with this horse? What's wrong with that horse?" And somebody over the internet, maybe if they did a consultation where you've got a video and they're seeing it live with the current social restrictions that we've got. But to describe a problem and then have some self-proclaimed "I know all about horses" give their opinion, you can't listen to it because they're not there. You know, I could say, yeah, I'll just give it a good old kick onwards. I always say, well, what do I always say? Actually, I always say that action beats anxiety, and you should do your circle or your figure eight with an absolutely laser focus. But if I'm wrong and it's not anxiety at all, but it is something teeth, something back, something tack, something that I'm not there, you could then take
Yeah.
my advice and push on, and God knows what. So you're going to need to spend some money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You've got to make sure that it's nothing physical, because to me, you just said I've got a good horse that suddenly started doing weird behaviours.
Yeah. She's always been excited, and
And
she's
I can tell from the way you're talking that you know horses.
yeah. I mean, I definitely know her.
Yeah.
That's sure. I when It was only 3 years ago. I wasn't allowed to ride her, and I took that whole year to become close with her, and I would just kind of sit in the field with her and stuff like that, and I'd lunge her and everything.
Sorry, excuse me.
That's all right.
Shall I turn this phone off? Okay.
It's our bond, our kind of mental bond is definitely stronger than our physical at the moment. But I am very young. I'm only 13, so I know that I don't know a lot about
you haven't been alive long enough to have the experience of having had this horse, having had that horse. So that's the end of it. You've got to spend some money and get it absolutely checked out, because this doesn't sound like behaviour to me, said the man on the internet who hasn't seen it. So you've got to take that with a bucket salt as well. Okay, I'm going to have to get this phone call. Excuse me, Lottie. Excuse me, everybody. I've got to go. It's my elderly neighbour. Probably a couple of hours. Yeah. Okay. Cheers then. Bye. Panic over. Everything's fine. Everything's fine, but you've got to look after your elderly neighbours, haven't you? Lovely. So that was Lottie and I back. If anybody has got a little bit of wisdom to give to Lottie, people you know, Lottie, can you put in the comments where you live? What area? Well, obviously not your name and address, but the area where you live. And anybody who knows good horse people that way, my recommendation is always Rob Jackson, who is absolutely fantastic. You can find him under the horseback vet. He used to be the vet for the British team in the Olympics and such like. So he is also a tip-top skeletal muscular manipulator person. Rob Jackson, the horseback vet. Bob it into Facebook. That's my recommendation. Lottie, put down where you live, and there we go. Somebody who lives near you might be able to make a recommendation as well. Okay, lovely. Sorry I had to run away there, but we just had to check that wasn't an emergency. Thank you all for coming. Carrie Ann Lynch is back in Rob Jackson. There we are. So every year, because we do, I don't know if you've seen our shows or even aware that I have a show. We've got a show which is gymnastics on horseback and weapons, which is a Russian sport called Zhigotovka. And from the Zhigotovka came what Western places know as trick riding. But this is absolute tip-top Olympic level gymnastics. Absolutely beautiful. Obviously, you've seen trick riding, and you know that we lean off the horses one way or lean off the horses another way. And people do often comment on the Facebook videos, is this not bad for their backs and poor horses? So we get Rob Jackson out every year to check them over. And every year he says, your show horses are the horses that need least attention out of all the horses that I see. So there we go. Because they're athletes, and we train them to it, and we don't just throw them in it. We don't leave them in a field and then drag them out and make them do a show and injure them. When they're playing in the field, they don't, well, for a start off, they don't play in the field terribly much because they're working, and so they don't run around injuring each other. And when they are playing in the field, they've got the muscular and skeleton and ligament strength to be able to play nice and boisterously or do their job nice and boisterously, and there we are. Lovely. So who have we got? Helen is agreeing. She's trying to tell you something. Bless her. Hope you get it sorted. Yes. Helen Louise asking for some advice. Come on to the show, Helen Louise. At the moment, I'm just going to speak to Kerry in one moment, and then hopefully you could join us. Give us a bit of context to what you're talking about. Okay. Louise, asking for Kerry White, how are you? Please, at the moment, I'm just going to speak to Kerry in one moment.
Oh, hello.
And
then behind on the Facebook.
Hello.
Give
a bit of context to what you're.
Hold
on.
I know. Try and turn Facebook down.
There's a little hint. Let me just put that in the comments. Hang on, Kerry. I'm going to put that in the comments. Please turn down your Facebook feed before chatting. Let's chat.
I'm done. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I haven't got a question, but I had a couple of. Did you do a live yesterday?
No.
No, that's all right, because I looked and couldn't find any replay, and I was a bit confused. It was the day before. So there was a couple of things that kind of struck with me. One was one of the ladies you were talking to about her confidence, and she had a lot of work stress. And I just, from my own experience, I was really struggling. Obviously, I was lucky to get onto the first beta group of the mounted ultimate course. But one thing that massively helped, I actually finished my job last end of August, and it took away all that work stress, which allowed me to really focus on doing the stuff with the horse and being able to enjoy her. And that made a massive difference to my confidence. I don't think I'd have progressed as far if I'd still been trying to deal with that work stress, because it was just, I hadn't realised how massive it was.
Which brings me to the question that I've got for you. How did you come to the conclusion that your job wasn't worth the stress?
It wasn't so much, it wasn't worth. I finished because I was made redundant. The job was finishing up. I worked at a decommissioning nuclear power station, and we finished to the point of care and maintenance. So I knew I was working myself out of a job. So that was probably part of the stress. I'd worked there for 20 odd years, and suddenly I knew I was going to be going out into the big wide world. But trying to get finished within the timescale that we had just meant the pressure. And actually, it was the reason I realised stress was a problem was I thought I'd just lost my confidence and had anxiety with the horse, but a friend of mine who'd had general anxiety said, this is not just about the horse, this is bigger than that. And I actually did go to the doctor, and I did one of the self-referrals and sort of had some support through one of the online support things, Silver Cloud. And I had a person as well that was sort of supporting me. And when she did the questionnaire, it wasn't just anxiety, it was stress causing almost low mood, bit of depression. And so that kind of was what made me realise that work was what was actually having the biggest impact. And it was lucky timing in a way that my job finished to take some time off before getting another job, which allowed me to just focus on my mental health and then improving my confidence and my sort of relationship with the horse, which was absolutely.
So this was really gelling with you yesterday when that lady was clearly having the same problems at work as she was having with her horse.
Yeah, and that was sort of, it was just to kind of say, I don't know if she's watching today, but it's amazing how much, because people at my yard have been very supportive, but they all have been I kind of really was struggling, and I think people I'd had the question, is she the right horse for you? And actually, when I look back, she hadn't done anything that wrong. It was my reaction to it that was the biggest problem. But I've had a friend who's actually an instructor and a horse physio and stuff, and she's supported me a lot through my sort of, I'm going to call it rehabilitation back into riding. she said to me, she said, I have to eat my hat, because where you've got to is, she said, I didn't think you'd do it. So that was a nice compliment.
Isn't that interesting? That's so interesting. So just for a bit of background, Kerry was on the original beta group for the Mounted Division Ultimate Rider Confidence course, and by ultimate it means we address every objection and every possibility of why it is that you're not on your horses, including depression, self-esteem, relationship with money, relationship with time, all the excuses that people come out with. And rider confidence, of course, but we Kerry, we went way off horses.
Yeah, and I have to say it's helped in all aspects, I mean, unfortunately I just got my new job when all this happened, and so I haven't actually properly started my new job. But I notice things about how I approach it, not just with horses, but I'm actually kind of rewatching a lot of the units at the moment, because I'd got a little bit, I think because my job didn't get going quite when I thought, I'd got a little bit apathetic really, and lost motivation to do. I'm still very much, actually, horses is my most, I go every day, I ride or do what I want to do with my horse, and that's great. But at home there's lots of jobs that could be done. But actually, I find when I've got all the time in the world, it's too easy to say, no, I'll do it tomorrow.
It can be done anytime. I used to live at the bottom of Snowdon, and every day I could have gone up Snowdon. Guess how many times I went up Snowdon?
Never.
Except once after I'd moved back to London and I had to drive for 5 hours to get there. Then I went up it.
Yeah, I've actually found that all the way through the time off that I chose to have was just the same. I could, I'm at the yard, they laugh at me because if someone else turns up and says, oh, anyone fancy a coffee, even if I was just about to go, I'll be like, yeah, I'll have a coffee and stay for a chat. So but I've got, for my work, I've got my job, that's fine, but something that will help me and give me probably more increased pay is putting a portfolio together to get an accreditation for what I do. Now I've had months off to do it. It's not the most interesting thing to do because you're ploughing through stuff to prove that you know what you know. So
yeah,
but I've had all this time and I was just not doing it. But I've found that by going back and starting to re-look at, even not specifically the time management ones, but just generally going back over the course and kind of reaffirming that stuff in my head has helped me. I've started making sort of to-do lists, and I'm using bite sizes. I set myself that I'll do half an hour because as you've said, even if you take tiny steps, you'll get there. So if I did 4 hours a day, I'd have it done within a week or two. But if I do half an hour a day, I'll get there, but just a bit slower. And if I set myself to do half an hour, I'll do it. If I say I'm going to spend 4 hours, I'll never.
Not going to happen. Of course, it's not going to happen.
No.
Because and for anybody watching, if you sort out your distraction management, then your time management sorts itself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the bit I find hardest.
No, I'm not the least bit surprised that this is the case. And what got me onto it was when we were first starting the rider confidence courses, and I was explaining how the brain worked, and the primitive part of your brain has got certain survival strategies, and one survival strategy is anger, which I've got little bits of my studio falling down. One survival strategy is anger, which makes you stronger than usual, makes you more impervious to pain, makes you far more likely to win a fight. Very easy. But another survival strategy is depression, and then I go on to explain why this is and so on. And when I said another survival strategy is depression, you can hear the intake of breath around the room. So lots and lots of people are not suffering from depression, but certainly on that path of negative thinking with their horses. And then at the same time, if you feel that you're not in control of your emails, and you're not in control of your money, and you're not in control of your time, and you're not in control of your cooking and your diet and your exercise and your alcohol intake, and then when you get down the stables and the horse decides it's going to barge into you, it's almost like an affirmation, and it's like, oh, see, I'm rubbish at horses as well, which starts chipping away at your confidence. So I'm not the least bit surprised when people come out and say, well, it's not just horses. And one of the most interesting things is when people have left the course, I've had an email saying, my violin recitals got better. My public speaking's got better. Even when I drove home from the course, I wasn't worrying about the car breaking down, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah. So it's a super valid point, and I hope that everybody can see that it's way beyond horses. And if we can just make the effort to decide on a new way of thinking, and that's the key, isn't it? It's making that effort to go, you know what, I'm going to start a new way instead of the old cliches of I'm too fat, I'm too unfit, I'm rubbish at horse riding, everybody hates me. We'll find something a bit more constructive.
Yeah, and that actually kind of then leads to another lady who was talking about how she just wanted to feel confident again, and she was doing some sort of the positive steps and everything, and she was obviously making progress, but she felt she just wanted to be confident and feel it naturally again. And that kind of, I remember, I think it was in one of your presentations or something about, it might have actually been one of the catch-up meetings we did, talking about kind of the negative thinking or the lack of those thoughts, because you've had them so much, they become the habit. Because I think we were talking about, I used to get butterflies driving to the yard, even though I wasn't feeling unconfident, but it was kind of a habit that my brain went, oh, when I'm driving to the yard, I have to feel nervous. And again, another thing is it's practice. You have to keep, it is a bit hard work at first, because you're creating those new neural pathways to kind of go, actually, this is fine. And for me, I do still have the odd day where I think, oh, this is too much, I can't, but the times I think that get further and further apart, I'm more, my mind, I actually thought a couple of weeks ago, my mindset about things is different. I'm not scared of situations. If the horse does something different, I might look at why, and it's more frustrating of, well, what's making her do this? But instead of being scared of it, it's how can I help her to do the right thing?
Which for a lot of people is a major jump to go from, let's say I've had a bad day with the horses and I feel terrible about myself. It's a jump to say, therefore, when I'm in that situation again, what am I going to set in place beforehand? Some ploys, some strategies, some mental strategies for me, some physical strategies for the horse, so that when that happens again, I'm tooled up and prepared for it. And the mere process of sitting down and going, right, apply my logical solution focused thinking to this, is a bit that people skip. They have a bad day with the horse, they feel bad, and then they wallow in it. And realizing that you can put the mental effort into getting yourself not only out of it, but improving and progressing, is to some people a absolute revelation and a change in character altogether.
Yeah. I actually, because my horse was kind of, I think it was probably started by hormones being different, but she was a bit more, she wasn't doing anything, but she was looking and she kept stopping and wouldn't move forward. And she was crazily interested in the other horse had a poo as we were riding on the road, and she wouldn't leave it. She just wanted to stay there. And it took us about 10 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh, this is, and then we'd get a little bit up the road, then she'd stop again. And I had a friend, my friend Charlie, who's helped me a lot. I thought I'll get her to ride her and see if she can, what she does differently. And it was quite funny actually, because I said I've been re-watching some of the units, and I watched the Magic Question one. And so then I was thinking, so what did, because I kind of my thing to myself, if there's a situation, is what would Charlie do? Because she's very pragmatic and a a very confident, relaxed rider. She does things without thinking about it. So I looked at how she'd done it. So to me, it was like, well, if I was a 10, I'd be doing what Charlie does. And it was a simple thing like, we got on and we were about to leave the yard. She gave Fiona a little nudge to walk forwards, and it was a bit of a pathetic, right then. So Charlie gave her a little tap, set her expectation of, no, when I ask you to walk, you just walk. And the other thing is, when you're out and you see something that you can feel her go, oh, what's that? Straight away, a bit of leg to say, you can look, but keep walking. So those were my two things that I was like, well, if I was a 10, that's what I'd be doing. The next ride I had, that was what I did. We had a great ride. So yeah, it's just a complete change in mindset. But it has taken a few months of doing things like that repetitively for it to become a bit more just do it rather than it knocking your confidence.
Yes, and getting the behavior change from the horse, because if the horse ums at a haylage wrap and it ums and you're straight on it going get on, walk on, then the horse knows that you wouldn't be asking that if there was danger. But that takes a bit of time, because obviously if we've been in the habit of the bit of wrap flaps out and the horse stops and we stop and we go, oh, well done, pat pat pat, as if you wanted to train the horse to stop at a flapping bag. But never mind. Anyway, then it's quite hard, having admitted to the horse this is something to worry about, maybe giving a little squeal yourself and clamped up a bit. It's then quite hard to get through to the horse. Actually, we'll move forward, because the horse already knows that something's wrong. But that, like you just said, it comes with practice. It comes with practice, being prepared, maybe even organising some spooks that you know, so that you can practice going past them, and on and on.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah,
I hope that's
groundwork as well with
oh yes,
her confidence in the leader sort of thing, to someone that she can trust to listen to. Okay.
I'm a huge fan of long reining for that reason.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about long reining, because she did there was an incident when we were rehabbing her. My friend Charlie was actually long reining her, and it was just one of those things, but a deer jumped out literally almost up her nose, which you understand a spook at that situation. But then as she spun, one of the long reins went under her tail. She then
caused a mess
and completely panicked. And Charlie was riding her in the school. She ran out of Charlie had to let go because there was no way Fiona was stopping. She ran to the school, galloped to the yard, and then actually jumped a 5-bar gate. She did catch the gate and pull the gate over. But as she was rehabbing from surgery on hind legs, it was a bit of a fraught moment, but luckily it was fine.
Luckily it was fine, and now you're carrying that with you. Okay, but as it happens, next week, I'm coming to your yard with a film crew, and we're going to make a film of a horse long reining, and they're going to pay whoever has that horse £3,000 for the day. If that were true, you would be surprised at how your motivation for getting over that and getting your horse long reining would change.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, there we are. And if you don't do it, they're going to take it to that one that you don't like, and she's going to get it. There we are. Lovely. I hope that. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing that. That was absolute super. It's absolutely mountains of content in there for everybody to have a good think about and see if it applies to their situation. So thank you very much for coming on.
No problem. Nice to see you.
Lovely. Speak to you again very soon, I hope. That was Kerry. Absolutely marvellous. Thank you very much. Let's have a little look. at the comments. Is anybody coming on with a question? Kerry's just shown how absolutely easy it is. And to be honest, she didn't even have a question. She just had a bit of advice to help somebody. So in terms of advice, we had a question from Denise about a excessively not even napping horse, like proper pair bonded horse, that they were having problems getting out the field or taking another horse out or whatever. And I didn't have an answer for her because I haven't had that problem and I haven't had to overcome it. Somebody bobbed in the comments and said Pirelli's good for that, and I couldn't get any further context out of them. So that's a bit, you know, I think we missed the opportunity. So what, you're going to sign up for the whole of the Pirelli program? We need context. So if you've got a little bit of information that can help somebody, I don't mind if you're writing it or whether you're coming on the program, but on this broadcast, but please put the context in, because this is the Social Distance Social Club. It's not about me. It's not a Facebook Live. It's not about me just talking about me and my content that I give in my book and my courses and my videos and everything else. It's being able to access everybody. So if you've got something that will help, just like Kerry did, that'll be absolutely super. So there we are. There's various comments about the conversation with Kerry, which was very good. Lovely, lovely. Interesting. Sophie Oliveira, who I spoke to Gary the other day. What if you are the opposite? I have confidence in riding, but not anything else. I have the Mayday bundle. Will this help? From what Kerry just said, yes is the answer. Yes is the answer. So in the same way that I deal with nervous riders, and I try and get people to see the patterns of thinking that help them cope in every other day situation. And there's situations that you cope with, you at home, nervous riders, that I would find uncopable. Let me give an example. I'm not a school teacher. I wouldn't like to be a school teacher. In fact, I think that would be the worst thing in the world. If I had to go into a class full of pupils and, just horrific. Horrific. And of course, a lot of people are teachers and they're absolutely fine. They go, what are you talking about? It's easy. It's absolutely fine. And then they're being nervous with their horses. So I take that feeling of being fine about something, that you are in control. In this situation, you are in control. And if, for example, you take a feeling of being in control and apply it to your horses. Here's a great example. If you always feel that whenever somebody who is more knowledgeable, or even not even, who is just coming over to give advice about you and your horse, and they come over and they give advice, and you just think they know so much more about horses than me, they must do, and they're saying that I'm doing it wrong, or I shouldn't be doing natural horsemanship, I should be doing classical equitation or whatever, then that assumption that because they know more than you, therefore they're right, you're wrong, isn't necessarily true, is it? They may know more than you, but that doesn't mean that they're right and you're wrong. It just means they know more than you about their particular sphere. I know more than you about the rules of Jigitovka and the rules of horseback archery. I do. But that doesn't mean that I can come to you when you're doing your natural horsemanship, which I don't follow at all, and you're playing your 7 games, which I've heard the title of, and I have no idea what it is. And I turn around and say, "Oh, you don't want to let your horse stop and make its own mind up, because suppose it makes its mind up." No, which is my philosophy. But I'm fully aware that other people are following a different system, and that's what they do aspire to. So just because I've got more knowledge in. So how can we get over this? Well, it's no different to going into Tesco's and asking the chap who works there where the tins of dressed crab are, because you don't know, and he does, but you wouldn't in that instance therefore take it that you are somehow a less of a person, less confident, less able to do things because you didn't know where the dressed crab was. Even saying that, you'll go, yeah, that's a stupid thing to say. It's a stupid thing to say. But as soon as somebody comes and says it about horses, so this is an example how you can take situations from other parts of your life and use them to influence your horses. That's what I do. That's what I do until we've got the same confidence in horses as we have with driving, crossing the road, riding your bicycle, going to Tesco's and finding the dressed crab. But as Sophia says, it goes the other way as well. And there's plenty of people who will espouse the philosophy that horses will show you the best way to be in life. And that's what that means. It means that you can take, when I was starting this internet malarkey and starting to write my book and starting to make content videos to help people with their horses, I'd never done it before and I wasn't feeling confident. As I built the system, various things went wrong. The book didn't arrive. When I first launched the book, it didn't arrive on time. I'd very clearly said it was a pre-order of the book, and I had about 1,000 pre-orders, of which a good 20% were saying, where's my book, where's my book, where's my book? And it's like, I haven't even written it yet. I did say, well, I had written it, I just hadn't got it ready for the printers. And it was impossible to get it ready for the printers until I knew whether I was going to sell 10 books or 1,000 books, because it affects the time. So anyway, then I started getting these emails in with people complaining and saying, you've scammed me. And I was like, oh, why did I do this? Why did I do this? And I thought to myself, this is all going wrong. I was up at 5 a.m. trying to finish the last little chapters and the arrangement of the book and everything else, get it ready for the printers before I started my work. And then something else went wrong, as it does, and then something else went wrong, as it does. And suddenly I realized, if I can sit on a stallion that's throwing itself around and throwing itself on the floor and having a complete paddy, then I can sit on a business that's throwing itself around and throwing itself on the floor and having a complete paddy. I'm either in control or I'm not. So, Sophie, is that Sophia or Sophie? Sophie. So, Sophie, you and I are coming from the same point. I use my confidence in horses to sit here and confidently speak to a screen, not even knowing if anybody's watching or not knowing what people are going to ask, not knowing if maybe the advice I've got is absolutely against someone else's philosophy. This is interesting. Recently, my Facebook ads have become a lot more seen, because with the coronavirus, a lot of businesses stopped. The demand for Facebook ads has dropped. So those of us that are still running Facebook ads get seen a lot more. One of the ads that gets seen is my hats versus hysteria ad, where I say that wear a riding hat. Riding hats save lives. Wear your hat. But don't get hysterical about it, because hat hysteria, getting hysterical that the Queen isn't wearing her hat, or someone else isn't wearing their hat, Pat Pirelli isn't wearing their hat, and what sort of example is it going to make to the children, is just hat hysteria. Like you're going to get absolutely smashed into a million bits if you even think about approaching a horse without a hat. That destroys confidence. That makes horses seem a lot more dangerous than they are. Fundamentally, horses are safe. That's why we've ridden them for thousands of years. And if you want to make sure that the dangerous, let's ignore the safe bit, you want to make sure that the dangerous little bit is as safe as possible, put a hat on. Exactly the same as put a seatbelt on. But what I found was I was getting stories, so I already knew this to be true. And I was saying to people, don't listen to people who are having hat hysteria. Just put your hat on as if it was a normal thing. And then I was in the Rider Confidence classroom session and I said, oh, hat hysteria, can't stand it. People getting hysterical about hat. Put your hat on, but don't be hysterical about it. And this lady who was sat over there, Faye, her name was, she went white and then red and then white. And I was like, what's happened to you? She said, I'd forgotten all about that till you said that. She said, my mum, when I was 12 to when I was 18, every time I went riding, she'd get this battered old helmet out and point to the dent in the side and go, this will happen to you if you don't wear your hat. And it put the fear of God into me. And God, I wore my hat. Wearing the hat should be an emotionless thing. When you put your seatbelt on, it's emotionless. You get in the car, you put your seatbelt on. And people don't put the seatbelt on going, oh my God, this seatbelt was designed by Mark Todd. I wouldn't go anywhere without this seatbelt. It's the best seatbelt that you can get. They just put the seatbelt on and they go, oh, come on, then let's go to Alton Towers. So I know that hat hysteria, and I've seen it all the time, I know hat hysteria destroys confidence because it implies that the horse is going to kill you. Wearing a hat is sensible, wear a hat. There we go. So I made a video to this effect. How do you think that went down? Oh, now my video is getting shown to more and more people. How do you think that's going down? Exactly. So people read what they want to read, they hear what they want to hear, and they're reacting accordingly. Oh, furious, absolutely furious. I have to take that confidence that I take from the horses that these people have watched the video, missed the point, reacted aggressively, and I have to fundamentally understand that they're mistaken. That's it. They're mistaken. How could I come to that conclusion so easily, given that I've got a large part of me, there's various personalities in the world, carers, entertainers and warriors. I've got a certain amount of entertainer and an equal amount of carer and probably not so much warrior. But there you go. So the caring part of me cares enormously what people think of me. Of course it does. So how can I then take people sometimes deliberately, but definitely mistaking what I'm saying, not listening to it, not seeing it, and then attacking over the internet, as people do? Well, what we're talking about there is other people's opinions. And when I walk into a Rider Confidence seminar, and there's 70 people in a village hall, and I go, right, hands up if you've ever been stopped doing what you do by other people's opinions. And 70 hands will go up. I've been stopped by other people's opinions. I bet you at home, some of you are going, oh yeah, I've been stopped by other people's opinions. Because I train in what I train, Jigotovka, a Russian form of tent pegging, horseback archery, the Korean style, and now I'm doing the Mongolian style. The shows that we do, the adverts that we do, getting horses to do different things. I promise you, if horsey people came down here and saw us training, they wouldn't understand what on earth we were doing. And if I go to a discipline that I don't do, I wouldn't understand that. Because I'm so far out from it, I really don't mind about other people's opinions because I know that they're mistaken. If they don't know why I use this example day before yesterday. If they don't understand why I've painted a mannequin silver and gaffer taped it to a saddle, and then letting the horse go from A to B and giving it a massive carrot at each end. They don't. They don't know why that's happening. But I do, because I know the job that was coming up. So I wouldn't the least take other people's opinions into my world there. So it's therefore easy for me to say I have the ability to take other people's opinions and simply remove them from my world. Even though they're directed at me, they're mistaken. So then when I start my internet business and the Facebook ads go up, and all these comments go up saying he's advocating riding without hats. What an idiot! What? And then they come out with the stories of people who've had the most terrible times and ignore the million times more people who haven't had terrible times, which is my point. You can go out naked and you would be safe anyway. But if you want to make sure, then in that little bit of when it goes wrong, put a hat on. They ignore that. Oh, he's advocating riding without a hat. And it's quite clearly in the video, I go, hats save lives, hat hysteria destroys confidence. And that's it. So if I can ignore other people's opinions in the horse world, which I can, then I can ignore other people's opinions in the let's have an internet part of my business, let's sell my book, let's there. So you can take something from one side. If you run an internet business and you're aware of my little story there, when the videos don't play and the sound doesn't go and it doesn't load and it won't work on a obscure mobile phone and someone's book's late and someone wants a refund and all the normal things that happen, and you saw me going spare about it, you'd be like, oh, don't worry about it. It's no different to a horse misbehaving. Your business is misbehaving. Oh, yeah. So there we go. So we can take confidence from other areas and put it in. So there was a long old answer to Sophie's chat there. Oh, Helen, you're waiting. How long have you been there? I got right into one then. Hello.
Hello, good morning to everybody listening in. So I'll just keep it obviously really brief. My name's Helen and I've been riding for over 30 years. I've recently purchased the book, which is probably the best £8 I've ever spent. It's been an absolutely fantastic game changer. No, you're welcome. It's been a fantastic game changer for me. I've been struggling through a lack of rider confidence for around about 10 years, but I've managed to sort of really slowly get it back. More so in the last 3 years, which has been fantastic, basically through positive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have to sort of, pretend I am a fantastic dressage rider, take on that persona, take on that mentality, which has been fantastic. Unfortunately, I had an incident recently where my horse got chased by a loose dog. The dog was out of control. My horse is only 5 and he's been hacking out since last year. So obviously it's been going really well. He's very friendly. He's very polite. We stop. We always say hello to people. He lets them stroke him, fuss him, pat him. There's nothing to be scared of because I have honed him since the weanling. But unfortunately, we got chased by a loose dog. As you said in the book, we were absolutely fine. As soon as I hit the deck, I was up. I was like, right, get my horse back. I really need to get my horse back. So we were up and, obviously I chased after my horse, who luckily, because I've owned him since the weanling, he just came straight back to me as soon as I called him. But what I just like, obviously, just a little bit of advice, really. Obviously now we do see, we share our local park with obviously lots of dog walkers, so I just like a little bit of help now, because when we do see dog walkers and obviously dogs, whereas before he would be fine, whereas now I just feel him getting a little bit nervous. So what would you recommend me to do in this in this case scenario?
Okay, so just because the nervousness was caused by something that actually happened doesn't make it a different kind of nervousness to the nervousness that occurs because we're going past someone washing his car.
Right. Okay.
So what's the answer for going past somebody washing his car?
Yeah.
Action beats anxiety. Do the thing that you're doing. If you then start schooling the horse to trot in the most consistent, regular rhythm, that, and imagining that as an instructor is there shouting at you that you need to get the hind legs further under it, and it needs to get a proper outline on and beyond the bit, and you're going to drive forwards, 1 2 1 2, keep going, good. The horse knows that you wouldn't be schooling it like that if there was danger.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So your action of doing the thing that we do will be the horse's reassurance that everything must be all right, because that's not the same situation when the dog actually attacked, where you didn't school the horse. Presumably you started shouting at the dog, you started shouting at the owner, screaming, clamping, pulling on.
Froze. Yeah, I just froze.
Freezing.
Just trying to hang on because my horse was spinning. Because
so my point is that if you don't do those actions, then the horse will take from you that everything's fine, because there's no way that you would continue to school the horse and ask it to continue what you're doing, or ask it to do a particular exercise. If I've asked you to trot from this gate to that tree, you will trot from this gate to that tree, whether or not someone's washing their car, whether or not there's a dog, and your physical actions in doing that will reassure the horse this is what we're doing. And when it's like, oh, hang on, there's a dog there, it hasn't even got time to look over before you're like, don't you look over there, because your imaginary instructor would then shout at you. If you let your horse look out the arena when you were doing your trot, your instructor would shout at you. What are you letting him look out the arena for? Keep that bend. Okay. You know, it's bending the wrong way. You're going around the corner and it's looking out to the right, and they wouldn't have it. Does that make sense? So everything about you is like, we are doing this thing. Action beats anxiety, and you mustn't get caught into the thing that because it was a real incident, therefore it has special status.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Because obviously in your book it says that, you know, I mean, obviously I've been riding for over 30 years, and obviously that has only ever happened to me once. So if I think of all the times that I've ridden, and, you know, that has only ever happened to me once. And as you said in the book, I was up and I was fine. You know, obviously, yes, it probably will happen, but we were up and we were fine. He got obviously nervous with people out walking. So what I did, I took him out for walks, taking your advice from the book, and it just said, we're going forward. And that has been fun, because obviously we're on the ground doing that, because he was like, oh, okay, then, rather than patting him, like you said in the book, don't pat him, don't you know, don't encourage, you know, it's okay, just don't say anything, just keep going. And that's what, you know, I've sort of applied that recently on the ground, so hopefully that will help us. But obviously on board, you know, I just thought, you know, do you ask him to stand still, or, you know, or do we just keep going forward?
I wouldn't do any special action unless it's special action time.
Right. Okay.
Which it isn't.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean? But that also applies to you, because let's face it, we've got a part of our mind which is primitive, which will respond to the template. If a dog does come over, there will be part of you saying it's time for you to freeze and go, ooh.
Right.
And actually, to overcome your own animal mind is exactly the same way to overcome your horse's animal mind. You've got two animal minds to come over, and it's exactly the same. The most beautiful hind legs carrying the weight on the bit, beautiful outline, regular rhythm, like you want to actually go from here to the tree. There's a film being made and you're the starring role, and you're getting paid £3,000. And if you let this horse distract you, let this dog distract you, that £3,000 is going to go to someone you don't like, who gets the job instead of you. You would be amazed at how that would focus your intent. You wouldn't even see the dog.
Yes. I understand. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I understand. And sometimes, if it's any help for anybody else out there, I do pretend that sometimes I am an Olympic gold medalist rider, and I've just taken one of my horses out for a relaxation hack, and instantly I take on that persona. You think, yeah, because you're being filmed by the BBC, and here we are.
Yeah.
And even if you're not particularly feeling it, sometimes you just got to pretend, you're actually winging it, and just to and I find that it's starting to improve the way. I mean, I think I did email you because I think we have been out on a few hacks since, and we have seen dogs, and we have managed to stop and to chat. Instead of seeing them like scary.
Oh, great! Well done.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. And
because
yeah,
horses and dogs go together. Horses, dogs, and humans are the thing that evolved. We wouldn't be the way we are without horses. We wouldn't be the way we are without dogs. Dogs certainly wouldn't be the way they are because they're supposed to look like wolves, and horses wouldn't be the way they are because they're supposed to be like little peristalky Shetland type ponies.
Yes.
So we've all evolved together. We come as a trio.
Yes.
And horses, I mean, think of the hunt.
True.
They've got dogs.
Yes. So yeah, lovely. That's great. Well, thank you ever so much.
Brilliant.
For your help.
Thank you.
No. So basically, just keep riding him forward, and obviously, just to keep him going.
Yeah.
Keep his feet in motion.
Your little BBC film crew going. This is how she trains her horse between going. I've got a little. I've mentioned it, I'm sure. I've got a little fat American director, little bald bloke, all sweaty and angry. And he's paying me loads and loads of money to walk in a purposeful manner up to this fence post and stop. Not one step beyond it. Not stop when you get near it because the horse is a bit reluctant. And I use that a lot.
Okay. And obviously, would you agree that because I have owned him since a weanling, that obviously we have already got that bond is 5. So I'm hoping that he would see me as a leader. So obviously I'm sure that would help as well.
Yes. I know it's mentioned in the book, so you know this, but I'm going to say it anyway for the sake of the audience.
Yeah.
If you were walking through a city and there was a big explosion and there's glass flying everywhere, would you rather be with your friend who you look in their eyes, they look in your eyes and just go, I don't know what's going on? Or would you rather be with a policeman or a teacher or a voice of authority who says, right, get in that doorway, put your head between your knees, I'll be back in 2 seconds? You'd rather be with the policeman or the voice of authority. Your friend can't turn into that policeman or voice or teacher or voice of authority if they've been your friend all the time. Your horse doesn't need friends. It wants someone to say, this is fine. And that starts in the stable. It starts by move back because I'm coming in is the same equivalent as getting the pupils to stand on the desk when the teacher walks in the room. It just establishes that this person will look after me. That is the partnership. You know what's best. I defer to you. And when the crisp packet of death attacks, chances are this policeman, this teacher, this voice of authority will look after me. And what does the voice of authority do? They go, trot on. I said, trot on. Get on.
Yes. No, I understand. I understand. But
absolutely.
The book has helped amazingly. I said, unfortunately, I'm self-employed, so not earning much money, but I spent the £8 and best £8 I've spent for a long time. So yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time as well.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Speak to you later. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Olá.
Olá. Como está? Tudo bem?
Yes, very good. Very fine. Thank you very much. I don't know if you saw the earlier part of the broadcast where the English people are under the impression that you got to say Deutsch Geläusch for 2 milky coffees. Is that true?
Yes, it is. Deutsch Geläusch is a milky coffee.
Oh, it is true. Oh, right. I thought it wasn't. For some reason, I thought it was pronounced completely differently.
If you want a short cup of coffee, you ask for a big cup.
Yes, I remember that one. Lovely. Hello, nice to see you. How are you?
Oh, Carl, excuse me. What's a super groover?
Super groover.
Yeah, I'm
It-
sorry, but sometimes I have difficulties with my English, and you speak so quickly that sometimes I can only understand for the global sense of the words.
The
Okay.
global sense. Yeah. What's a super groover? It's a groovy person who's super.
Thank you.
It's you.
It's me. Okay.
Lovely. Okay. What you got for us this beautiful morning?
Okay. I had the Mayday pack, and I focus on the hypnosis, on everything else, but on hypnosis. Of course, that here at home, I have all the dog, the cat, the sons, everything coming. Every time I try to relax and listen to you and nothing else, it's impossible. Somewhere on the way, I get asked to do something.
Distrazione.
Yes. So, even so, I relax and let your words come, pass through me, and let my spirit breathe. Even when that is not possible totally, I let my mind listen all the same. I hear everything on backstage. I don't answer. I just let me go. And it's okay because it relax me.
Okay.
And
Yes.
my imagination, either the therapy for the mounting division and the enjoy, you're right, it really helps and puts a smile on my face. It's okay, super. But I then started comparing. Before I had knowledge of all this, I was imagining to get over my difficulties with the horse, that I was, for example, throwing arches on horseback.
Oh, yes.
I'm always imagine myself as a warrior. Maybe because that's the way I was brought up. Because since I was very young, I started with judo, then karate, then aikido, then kendo, all those Japanese things. And Cossacks, I've already given in all there is, and that you put on Facebook, on YouTube, everything. I've already seen everything, and it really excites me. Oh yeah, I'd like to do that someday. And I started the parallel that by imagining well awakened, it's also a form of hypnosis.
Yes. Daydreaming. Yes.
Daydreaming, yes, I'm awake, but I'm dreaming.
It's absolutely hypnosis. Now, if you all the hypnosis tracks is guided daydreaming, so you can't go down the wrong path. Plenty of people sit there and daydream about what could go wrong. This could happen, that could happen, and other people encourage that if they're frightened of their horses or other parts of life. So you're daydreaming about what can go right, daydreaming about the people you can meet, the things you can do, the places you can go, the horses you can ride. I daydreamed about going to Mongolia so much that by the time I got there, it was just the best thing ever.
I get it.
Oh, absolutely. And the same for Russia and the same for going around the world. And it's like I could do that. And it was that daydreaming which meant that I did do it.
Yes, and it's very encouraging in your seminars. If you think about it every day, your brain starts to bring on the things that are needed. You don't even think about it.
You don't have to know.
Captures here and there.
Your subconscious will come with the good idea that you need. All you need to do is focus on what you'd like to do. What you'd like to do. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do this. And your subconscious will start popping. When you get a new car, you see that new car everywhere.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. You don't have to do anything apart from keep in mind what you want.
Yes, and that's the most effective ways of going, get over our fears, our insecurities is the best way, because you're playing, and in the moment you are playing those films in your mind, it's your reality.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. And it's established that this is the way that our brains work. If you focus on the negative, you will start noticing the negative. If you look around your environment and you focus on everything that's red, and then somebody says, how many things did you see that were blue? You will have missed them.
yes. Yes.
So, and it's the same with positive or negative. What are you, when you look around your environment, are you going to focus on the positive or the negative? Because it is a choice.
It's a choice, yes. And the negative goes completely away, because I am so excited in the positive that I'm getting there. I start riding on the 5th, and my horse is a white lusitano, very beautiful. Not because he's mine, but he really is beautiful. And he was the champion of working equitation here in the country 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very smart, and he likes to challenge me, because before all this, I wasn't certain, and I was a little afraid, because I know he doesn't know, but I know he's very strong. And so he challenged me. He said, if you don't ask me this with assertiveness, I'm going to play you. I'll do whatever I want.
Yes, absolutely.
That happened the very first time when I came back. He thought he could that again. And I showed him, not anger, not very calmly. No, you're not playing with me. I'm asking you to counter. And
did the horse react differently?
Completely. He never challenged me again.
Would you say that the horse was happier knowing that you're taking the lead?
Much happier, because he knew what I wanted.
Yeah. And that's in his comfort zone. So he's been used to people telling him exactly what to do and when to do it. And that's in his comfort. He's happy then. It's like going to a job where they're very clear about what your job is.
Yes.
But if you went to a job where they, on the first day, they said, oh, you need to do this. And on the second day, they started saying, no, we don't do that here. We do something else. You'd be pretty miserable in your job quite quickly.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I have in mind a geography teacher that I used to have called Mr. Clayton. And everybody in the class obeyed Mr. Clayton because he was not fierce, but that determined and that purposeful that you just didn't mess around. Then we'd get in the French supply teacher, where it comes a student teacher who wanted to make friends with the kids, and the class was all over the place because we hadn't got any discipline. But when Mr. Clayton, the disciplined teacher, said that you'd done well, my God, you'd done well. It really meant something. And that's how I like to be with my horses.
Okay.
It makes them happier.
Yes, I like to make my horse happy, because one thing I noticed before all this change in mind, he wasn't happy. He always shakes his head up and down. He always was almost telling me, let's go, I want to go away, I don't want to be here. I said, oh my God, that's me, it's not him.
Lovely.
And I said, that's me, it's not him. So it's me, I have to change. And I want to go somewhere. Why am not going?
So
work it out.
Are you currently putting out videos because you've got such a good attitude? It's a good attitude about life. It's a good attitude about horses. It's a good attitude of what you can do. Are you helping Portuguese riders like yourself? Are you starting to put out videos or blogs, or what are you because you should, because you're a personality.
It's going to take. I'm already helping one friend, because all the others look me like this, you know, and I don't like that. Anyway, in my head, they can even jump, run, whatever they want to do, or say, it's lights. I don't care, because I am going to earn $1 million, just like you said.
Yes.
Nothing else matters. I want to get there, and I'm going to get there. I may learn and not get there. Excuse me, this is my cat. I may get to learn a few times, not achieving the goal. Okay, it's okay. Bite sizes, right?
Yes,
All
exactly.
it matters is that I'm happy with myself. I make my horse happy, and if I can help anyone who wants to be helped.
Lovely. Excellent. Thank you very much for coming on.
I'm
Everybody
again. Today I'm riding again.
love. Oh, good. Let us know how it goes. Everybody in the comments, just give a bit of love there for Annabella, because that was absolutely fantastic. Lovely. See you later, Annabella. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Paul. You've been a help, really help, and I like to listen to you. So does everybody else, I'm sure. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. See you later. Obrigado. There we are. What a super attitude. Absolutely marvellous. So I hope we've all learned a lot from Annabella and all the people this morning. Just got Tessa here saying, great morning, must pop off, and she's not alone. So there we are. I'm going to run off now. So if anyone's got anything helpful to say, this is the Social Distance Social Club. When I put this on the replay on YouTube, put any comments underneath that might be able to help anybody. Please ring the little subscribe box, and there we are. We'll see if we can keep this going. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much for coming. Goodbye.